What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 27 of the VFR CBR 800 V4 hybrid build, where we've been taking this VFR 800, making it more like a CBR. Some of the standout features on this bike is we upgraded the VFR shock to the CBR unit here, and we did use Kawasaki ZX-10R forks on this. The CR forks are simply too short, but this is also a huge upgrade to the upside down forks with the radial calipers, and we got some nice wave rotors there. And we've obviously done a lot of work back here with powder coating, all new bearings. I mean, I spent a ton of time and money on this back wheel, believe it or not. The guys over at Cognito Moto made us some cool triple clamps to accept the forks. And then over here we got this really cool see-through clutch cover, and then custom dual carbon fiber exhaust. Now, if one of you wants to be the owner of this bike when it's done, go over to the Patreon, sign up to support the build series. You'll get charged every time I post a new video, as little as $1 per video. You could be the owner of this bike. I also want to mention, if you guys want to save big money on helmets, jackets, boots, tires, almost everything you need for your body or bike, I'm now working with the guys over at jpcycles.com to bring you guys a bunch of huge discounts, up to 60% off. Use the links in this video to check things out, make your purchases. It kind of gives me a little bit of percentage of the sale and helps support this channel. What we've got going on today is I've been losing sleep over these front fairings here, just trying to get things adjusted just right, trying to figure out how I'm going to mount it. The problems I'm running into is making sure this is all in the right position, so when you turn the bike, the bars are clearing the fairing. But then when I get up here to the headlight area, there's this large oil cooler here in this bracket system that's sticking outward, that is not going to give me enough clearance for the headlights. So for me to get the fairing in position for the headlight, that means this right here has to come forward, and then I start getting these big gaps in here, and it's just not looking great. And then I'm not really happy with this gap here, and things aren't, I could maybe get it to hug tighter, but you still have all this exposed. There's a piece that goes here that'll hide that to some degree. The bigger issue is over on here on the other side. It's not, this piece that goes here is not going to do anything about this. It really comes to about here. So now I've got all this exposed and it looks terrible. And I don't know, just getting things mounted up solid, and then with the weight of the headlight, things can't be bouncing around. And I just feel like it's not working out and going to be a Sano setup. So what I think I'm going to do today, just to test it out, is I'm going to pull this off. It's just taped on. And I'm going to fit on the stock VFR fairing setup, and I want to see how it looks and see if I can come up with some ideas to make it, more unique than just a standard VFR. So let's pull this off, put the stock one back on, and take a look at it. I feel like the more I work on this thing, the less it's becoming a CBR hybrid and just a really custom VFR. But you know what? The VFR 800 is a great bike. It won Bike of the Year every year they made it back in the early 2000s. This is a 2004, so it's still a great machine, don't get me wrong. I just wanted to make it as custom as possible, but it still needs to be mechanically sound and all that good stuff. So you can see here now that I got the fairing off. The VFR has a lot of electronics up here. There's a big bracket here with the oil cooler, so there's just a lot that falls in behind the lights. When I first started this build, the idea was to make it a street fighter, but then after looking at all this, trying to get this cleaned up, it was beyond my expertise, I guess. So that's when I came up with the idea to make it more of just a really custom sport bike. So let's put the stock fairing on and see how it fits. You can see here the stock headlights, they kind of fit up into here. So that's the huge difference, is the stock lights go here, the CBR lights here, and you just have all this in the way. So here's the stock fairing here, and this is still a good looking nose piece. To me it looks like a little bit like a shark here. So you can see here it lines up great with that bracket, nice and clean. Sano is the word I like to use when things fit just right. And then there's a couple of grommets down here that these pins go into. So now I haven't even bolted this down yet, and look at how well it's fitting. We want a bike that's going to go down the road and everything's going to feel solid, It's got to look good and work good. And then for this side fairing, there's already a bracket here in place to mount onto here. So it's just as far as getting things to mount up and be solid on this bike. This is, going back to this is almost a no-brainer, but I don't want to give up on the CBR fairing just yet. I just want to make sure I have a good viable option here and see how these look. I haven't seen these on the bike in quite some time, so that looks pretty, it looks pretty sweet. I mean, it flows with the gas tank. Obviously, it's made for that gas tank where the CBR has a lot more sharp corners. So we could probably come in and do some things, maybe make some vents in this thing to kind of open it up, make it lighter, more unique. Let's put it on the other side. All right, on this side here, you can see all the electronics here are pushing on the fairing, and I can play around with those and get them tucked in a little tighter. But for now, I'm just gonna get this thing in place. All right, that's looking pretty good. You can see how here it's hiding all the electronics, nice and clean. And then down here you can see the stock fairing is showing more of the clutch cover, which I really like. I mean, this looks really clean to me. So, right now I'm feeling pretty good about this. I mean, I do like the nose of the stock VFR fairing. I mean, it's really cool. It's, like I said, it's got that aggressive, pointed shark nose look. It is a little bit beefier than the CBR fairing, but I think that looks great. And I think with some cool graphics or something, just to kind of break it up, you can make bikes look thinner using different colored, graphics. But I think I'm liking this. I'm actually liking it better. I mean, I think this front end looks fantastic. What do you guys think? What do you think of this thing? So what I would do if I stuck with this, I'd come in and replace these lights. They're a little bit pitted. Get rid of this, change these out for, either tinted ones or clear with orange light bulbs in them. But looks super cool, man. I'm already wrapping my head around some stuff I could do, graphically speaking, to make this bike look super sweet. You know what, guys? I'm actually feeling really good about this. Another thing I like is that up in here, I'll be able to put all the stock pieces in here and clean this all up so it's all enclosed. With the CBR fairing, you would have had big gaps in here where you can see in there, and it just wouldn't have been clean and tucked away, and then we'll get a nice, cool, aggressive, low profile, windscreen up here. I just kind of wrap my head around ideas as I'm working on this thing. I've actually already got some ideas on how I can do a wrap on this. First I was going to paint the gas tank to match everything else. But I'm thinking, I've always been wanting to do a wrap on a bike, and I think this will be the first project where I actually do a wrap. And I've already got some cool ideas. There's so many vinyl options for doing wraps. I mean, there's chromes, there's textured vinyls, there's matte finishes. You can mix and match. I mean, there's a lot you can do, and I think I can do a wrap on this that'll make this bike over the top. So I'm feeling pretty good about these stock fairings. I am still waiting on the brake lines to come in. We've got some custom brake lines coming in from Coromoto that are these cool transparent red. So those will look really good. It'll allow me to get the bike off the stand here and make it more mobile. Because very soon I want to get it down to the metal fab shop and we're going to custom build a subframe for this thing. The biggest problem I had with the VFR 800 is was the big seat, and the tail section was really big and wide and bulky and heavy. So this is going to have a really sleek tail section on it. The more I work on this thing, the less it's becoming a VFR CBR hybrid build. It's really becoming just a VFR 800 custom build. But I'm okay with that. I mean, the goal was just to build a unique bike, and I think in the end it's still going to be very unique and a very wicked sounding machine on top of that. At this point here, the build it's very close to getting done. We'll get the front fairings buttoned down, locked down. We'll get the brake lines on. We'll get the subframe built. And that's kind of a wrap on the build. You know, I got to button up a couple little details. We do have a little problem with the shifter here, but we'll, you know, cover that in a future episode. Believe it or not, that's about all I can do for this episode today. I'm sorry it's really short and really basic, but it's kind of like it was a major adjustment. I mean, these front fairings, that was a big shift. The brake lines should come in next week, and we'll get those on, and those are going to be a sweet little detail that will get wrapped up. Once again, if you want to qualify to win the bike when it's done, go over to the Patreon right here, sign up to win. It's super simple, super inexpensive. Don't forget about all the great deals over at jpcycles.com and the links in this video. Use those links. And we'll see you guys in episode 28. Catch you later.